Okay, everybody. Thank you for being here for Luke and Amber. I'm Victoria from cleaning company Blueprint, and I own my own cleaning company, Oak Bay Clean. And I got to meet these lovely people through our community on Convert Labs. I will share the link to that shortly, but that's how I know these guys. And they launched their cleaning company 7 months ago?
7 months, yep.
Okay, so tell us first, how did you even discover this world of cleaning businesses? Because I know you both work full time. So you wanted to do a side hustle, but why cleaning?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. I just saw some guy on LinkedIn just posting numbers and months after months, 30K months, 40K months. And I knew I've always been entrepreneurial and I love starting businesses, like little side things. Nothing's ever kind of blown up, but I love the idea of building things. And I think I just saw this guy and I became kind of enamored in service businesses. So just like understanding whether it's like HVAC, plumbing, fencing, roofing. I just like the idea of the service business. And I guess Nick Huber, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Sweaty Startup. He just is like the big boring business guy. Like he just loves boring businesses. And I kind of latched onto that. And I was going to buy this guy's course from LinkedIn. My buddy ended up talking me out of it. And we were just like, let's just start this thing. Let's just build it ourselves. And we might get to this in a bit, but we didn't find this community until like 3 or so months in. So we were kind of just building things on our own. We'll get into some of the mistakes we've made, but we were just kind of figuring it out with no real help. And then I found Rohan's Reddit thread, and I was showing Amber, my wife, and I was just like, look at this guy and like, look at this stuff. And I said, you have to go through this. Like, if we're going to do this, you have to go through this document, go through all the links and stuff. And that's kind of how we started, but it was from some random guy on LinkedIn, honestly. And then I kind of took it from there and went down the rabbit trail.
How much was his course, the LinkedIn guy?
It was $2,500 or $2,000, but I was like, I was right about to buy it. And my buddy, our business partner, who we can also probably get into later about, he was just like, hey, I'm already doing this with multiple other service companies. Like I have the model, I have the, all this stuff. Let's just do it together. So then we kind of went that route. So I didn't buy the course, but man, I was like, right. And who knows, the course could have been great and I could have learned a bunch of stuff, but that's what kind of got me into it. So
that's awesome.
And I got Amber on. I said, hey, we're going to start this cleaning business. She said, okay. So,
And you both have day jobs. So what are your day jobs?
Yeah, so my day job, I'm in medical sales. So I'm usually in and out of the house, sometimes work from home.
And so you're probably the one on the phone dealing with clients?
50-50. Yeah. I don't think we've set up a good, like, you're doing this, I'm doing this. And I know, it's honestly like a competition. Like whoever's going to answer, except for like the complaints and cleaner stuff, then we're like, do you want to take this or should I? Like, usually we do it like if you book this client, that's kind of your client, like you handle this. It's honestly kind of work a little bit. It's like, okay, I've been dealing with this client. I've been texting her. I've been doing this. So but we both do 50-50 on all that stuff.
Okay, cool. And Luke, what's your day job?
Yeah, so I'm in tech sales. So we're both, yes, we're both the salespeople. Obviously we're very young in our careers, but we're, sales is such a people's game. And I do a lot of cold outreach for the last 3 years, a lot of cold calling, cold emailing, running meetings and demos. So we're both really good on the phones, and some of those little sales techniques that I know Ash and Adam talk a lot about is stuff that we also kind of really drive home, and how we also translate it to the cleaning business, which has been great. I hear her do stuff and objection handle, and I'm like, let's go, like that was perfect, like way to say that, like, or sometimes she'll tell me like you shouldn't have pushed so hard or some of those things. So yeah, it's interesting. The not pushing so hard, it's like an instinct as a salesperson to almost try to get somebody on board. But in this industry, so Amber, why would you say, hey, don't push so hard?
I think it's just a little pushy, especially on like objections of more so pricing or it's really objections on that.
Okay.
But I think if we're able to just say like the reason our prices, we have quality, we have the cleaners, we're the best on the West Side, they usually end up coming back. So I think when we stick our ground, and I've done it so many times too. I'm like, oh, well, what price do you have in mind? Like kind of coming down and just like giving it to them is not the clients that we want. So I think that's the key.
We realize that we don't want those clients, and it's kind of hard to like objection handle. And then you're like, do I even want this client? Like, are they asking too many questions? There's too many red flags. So that was one thing we had to learn, because we're like, let's close everybody. Let's figure out how we can handle every objection. We have an objection handling sheet that we use, which is helpful, but it's a lot of times we don't want these clients. If they don't want our pricing, we found that by sticking to our pricing, it honestly shows more credibility of like, hey, this is our pricing. This is what we do. You can see our reviews. So that's when you pointed, I was like, you're exactly right. That's do we want all these clients? Do I want to be closing this client is the thing we're trying to still learn, but understanding now.
Well, and you guys have talked to me enough, and you know how I feel, where I'm always like, hey, we are the coach or the like sometimes I feel like I'm like the pit bull that's got to protect the cleaners from the bad clients, and so it's a different mindset rather than when you come from sales, every sale is good, right? You're like, let's just sell. And then it's like, wait, no, we don't want to spend time in your house. I'm sorry. So yeah.
We made a lot of those mistakes where we'll put we just recently, actually, like just a week or two ago, we didn't vet this client properly and we put our cleaner in a horrible position. And she really needed the money, unfortunately. So she was like, we said, hey, you should walk there was bugs, and we said, hey, we'll pay you to get out of there. Like we'll pay you $25 to leave. And she was like, no, I need the money. I need to stay. But we just felt so bad. And we called her afterwards and we were like, that's completely our fault. We shouldn't have put you in this position. The money was good. The clean was good, but it like you're saying, we should have protected our cleaner. Like she was saying, like I was almost crying, and it was just an unfortunate situation where we felt bad of putting her in that situation. And that was just a couple of weeks ago. So we're still, as you can see, still learning how to do all this. But to your point, protecting the cleaners is really important because they might not want to work for us anymore if they keep getting these jobs. So
they're the only thing you're selling.
Yep.
That's your edge is your people. So question. So we've already got questions coming in the chat, which is awesome. Thank you, Nikita. We will get to it. Love that we're getting the questions. It's awesome. We have quite a few people coming from the community, I think, today. Before we dive in deep into your mistakes, what's your revenue at now? I believe you'd said it's around 10K that you've crossed the 10K marker.
Yeah. So big bummer. We were supposed to be at 10K last month. We had like 1,200 in recurring revenue that people have been with us for months that they all rescheduled or pushed to July. So we were like, oh, boom, like 10K, like the next week's all just easy recurring clients. And then just one after another, can I push to July? Can I push to July? So we ended the month of June at 9,000. But this month we are, for July, we're tracking for about 15,000 this month.
Amazing.
Based off what's on the books and our growth rate each month on average, we should do somewhere between 13 and 15 this month, which is, I'm bummed about not getting the 10K because we were like, oh, 10K, but we already have 10,500 on the books for July already. So it was a bummer, but we're going to have a killer month this month. So our goal is 15K, and that's where we're tracking. So hopefully we get there.
Amazing. And then by next summer, we'll jump on another call with you next summer. I want to start doing these follow-ups to the hot seat calls. But I can almost guarantee that by next summer, you guys will be in, maybe 30 to 50K margin, because it's just long game with this industry, right? So it's not quitting, it's carrying on and knowing like it's a few K more a month, in the summer months, it's even more, but you just experience the brutal side of the summer months. And are you finding that it's mostly families or people going on holiday? That's who's moving their cleans?
A lot of it was holiday, or some people we live in Arizona, so we have a lot of snowbirds. We've had some people just cancel their cleans. They're like, hey, I'll call you back in September, October, and we'll start up again. But we're going back to Oregon or to Washington. Right. But a lot of holidays, a lot of travel, people coming into town to stay at their homes. They're like, it's just too busy. So that was a lot of our reschedules. But exactly what you're saying in terms of like each month is just a couple extra thousand, a couple more. Like I'm looking at our numbers right now on my screen, and it's every month has just been improving. And the best part is our recurring has been going up. So we don't have a 10K month and we start next month with 2,000 on the books.
No.
Obviously people do that, but it's just like next month, like this month we started with like 8,000 on the books. And then we got obviously new bookings, but it's like, okay, it's less, what's the word? Intimidating when you don't have to start every month at a couple thousand. And it's obviously easier for many different reasons, but across the last 6 or 7 months, we're about 55% of our revenue is recurring, which is we're really happy about. Obviously, we want to get that to 60, 70, and 80 at some point. But we're happy. Yeah, I mean that would be amazing. But we're happy with like each month we're slowly increasing. That average of, recurring revenue is increasing. So that's been the coolest part in our opinion. But yeah, slow growth each month has been cool to see.
It's so great. Okay, so let's talk about mistakes, because I know, and I'll give the audience a bit of a backstory here. So the reason I know these guys is we have a community. So the software we all use is called Convert Labs. I'll put up the banner for anybody who's not using it yet. So that's the link that gives you 30 days free. But there's also a community attached to that. It's a private community. So anybody who signs up for Convert Labs can get access to everybody who's using Convert Labs, basically. And so these guys posted a lovely post one day where they said, and I can't remember how many months in you were, but it was something like, we're 4 months in, we've made all the mistakes in the book, we're so grateful for the community. Can anybody help with, and you listed, I was like,
it was an SOS, like, please, somebody help us.
And you had amazing timing, because at that time, Jen and I were running an accountability club. So what we discovered within our community of, there's about 700 people, that everybody keeps asking us for coaching, and they'll pay like $5,000, $10,000, like, can we pay? And I'm like, we did it a couple times, but what we're really keen on is everybody holding each other accountable, because we're doing great, but we learned from the Reddit post too. We learned from Kevin and Rohan too, and they, at the time, they taught it to us for free on a 30-day Zoom, and then we did the YouTube channel where we've given it all away for free. And we're like, why do people keep asking us for coaching? And so we realized what they really want is a community of people holding each other accountable, keeping each other on track. And so the day you posted, we had one of our members drop out, and they knew when they signed up that if you miss more than one session, it was 12 weeks. So if you miss more than one, we would give your seat to someone else in the community. And so you guys posted, and I reached out and I'm like, hey, do you want to, and you were both like, oh my God, yes. Yeah. And then you were such a lovely addition to our little group. There was only 10 or 12 of us in there every Saturday morning for 3 months. So we got to know each other quite well. But tell us at that point, what were these massive mistakes that you had made that really made you go, hey, SOS, I need help?
Yeah, I'll start off and maybe kind of jump in. The biggest thing was, in the beginning, like I said, we didn't find this community until like 3 or so months in. So we were just doing stuff on Google, like we didn't have Convert Labs until like month 3. We were doing things on Google Calendar, just no real processes in place. But the biggest mistake was we hired one cleaner and we didn't understand the contractor model. That's something we had no idea of, no concept. We were kind of treating them as an employee, but like having them on as a 1099, which is a little gray area. I won't go into too many details in case somebody's watching me that I'll get in trouble. But we basically had them on as a 1099, and we were paying them a guaranteed weekly salary. But we had no clients, but we realized we were like, nobody wants to work with us when we're interviewing because we have no jobs. And so we were like, our logic said we have to pay somebody to kind of be on call. And then when we have jobs, they do it. And it looked good for a number of different reasons, that like we could get, $6,000-$7,000 off of one cleaner, and we only pay them $3,000 a month. So it looked good in a lot of cases, but there was weeks where we didn't have a single clean. We just gave out $750 that's coming out of our pocket. And we did that for months. And thankfully we have the money to be able to afford that. And we were like, it's the cost of doing business, but it's like, there's cost of doing business, and then there's things that just aren't smart to do. And we didn't understand that. We were just kind of like, this cleaner was great. First off, she's still with us. She's been great. But she would have a couple of cleans a week, and she'd make $750. So she's on top of the moon. And that was our biggest mistake. And we didn't realize that it was a problem because we were getting busier and busier. And there were some weeks where we'd make a lot of money off of just the $750 we paid, and it was great.
Sure.
But the problem we ran into is we only had one cleaner, which was her. And so she kept calling out for various things, family deaths, issues, blah, blah, blah. And she's still getting paid for that day. So we couldn't backfill another cleaner. We were like, let's just hire another cleaner. But then we're paying, the day she calls out, we're paying her and somebody else. We lose money. So we kept running into this problem. It was good and well when she was working every day and it was fine, but started calling out, and we're like, we have to reschedule all these cleans now. We're at the mercy of this cleaner. We had no leverage at all. And obviously the financial burden, we were losing thousands of dollars a month for no reason, really. And so that was the biggest issue. And we just couldn't conceptualize the idea of the contractor model until we started seeing in the community. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I think it was the first call we did in the accountability group, which, by the way, if anyone's watching, the accountability group was amazing. If you guys are doing another one, I'd encourage anybody to join. But we got in there in one of the breakout rooms and I was like, what do I do? I have this problem. Can somebody help us, please? Like, and everyone was like, first off, why are you doing that? Why are you giving this lady free money for doing nothing? You guys are dumb. And then it was the solutions. Then it was like, here's how we're doing it. Here's a contractor model. Then I started like digging into like, okay, what even is this? But it was until like month 3 where we even understood what the contractor model was. And we were like, this gives us so much leverage and the ability to scale and grow and have, multiple cleaners. And then, so right after that, we hired 2 more cleaners.
Amazing.
And then it kind of just started compounding from there. But that was the biggest mistake. Had some months we were losing $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and we're still in the red, which we can get into later for various reasons. But we were just losing so much unnecessary money, completely unnecessary. Like a week where we just paid her $750 and not a single clean was done. And we were just like, the first couple months we weren't really bought into the clean. We were like doing it. Another thing, we were just like, oh, we're losing money. We have the money, so it doesn't really matter. Like for the first 3 months, we kind of were just doing it. And we're like, oh, we made 1,000, 2,000, great. Like we got up to 3,000. It wasn't until like month 4 where we did like 5,000 or 6,000. We're like, okay, like that's a good amount.
Now
we're starting to see things keep going, and we were like, okay, now we're in. So then we started really like honing in on stuff, but we were kind of just here, like existing. Like we weren't really doing a lot until we got into the accountability group and really we had to switch our entire model up. We got Convert Labs, all these things. So we really had to make like month 3 change everything.
That's so awesome that you changed it that fast, because I can tell you there's members in our community that have been watching first off, they've been watching Rohan and Kevin. Rohan, who wrote that Reddit post, and Kevin, who built his cleaning business off that Reddit post, then built Convert Labs. So people have been watching them for 10 years and have never pulled the trigger. And I saw somebody post this week that okay, I'm pulling the trigger this week. I'm finally doing it. But to make mistakes and fix them that fast is really great. And first off, also owning up, like this was a mistake. A lot of people, I think, get a lot of ego involved in running a business, and I totally understand. I've run a few businesses now, but the best businesses are where your ego can be like, you're going to go over here for a minute and I'm going to focus on what actually works. And it's, you don't have to come up with new ideas. Like this is why we call this cleaning company blueprint. Like it is a blueprint for people to follow. But if you don't find it, it's really hard. Right. Yeah. So kudos to you for finding it and then going, we effed up.
Yeah, we realized we were, and the other thing was that we had the money to lose, which made it not as much of an issue. If we were like in dire need of this money, it would have been that we would have figured it out months earlier. I'm guessing, but it was just like, we have the money to lose. Let's just do this and see if it works. And then it was like, okay, somebody in the community said something like, I think it was somebody named Jay, and it stuck with him to this day. He was like, "Hey, if you're giving out free money, can you cash out me as well?" Like and it really hurt me at first. I'm like, "Dang!" But then I'm like, he provided some constructive criticism after that. And he was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, you can't be doing that. Here's why." So I appreciate Jay, if you're watching or you see this. Thank you for that comment, because it made me realize what we're doing. But I don't know if the last mistake, I would say, if you want to talk about the bedrooms, bathrooms, kind of reinventing the wheel.
I think once we really got into like the nitty gritty and found Convert Labs, we were pricing just like a flat rate bedroom, bathroom. Like if you have 3 bed, 2 bath, this is flat rate for any house. Doesn't matter square footage or anything.
Ouch.
So at the time it made sense didn't make sense, but it made sense on the pricing when we were paying the $750 a week. But once we got into the 60% model, we realized our prices are way too low. We're not incorporating square footage and we're paying our cleaners way less than they should be. So I think once we kind of figured out doing this 60% model and also adding square footage, our prices went up to be a bit more competitive, where we're actually having a range. But I think that's a really big mistake we made. And I think also in the beginning, as I think you guys said too, which we're learning a lot more now and being very, I guess, adamant on it, is deep clean for every clean that's coming in as a new client, and making sure that we're having pictures sent, because we've been in so many situations where it's like, we quoted them this price, we walk in, hey, this is actually going to be another $200-300 clean. And it's either, the cleaner leaves and they don't get paid, or it's just like a whole debacle between the client and us.
Yeah.
So I think those are a bit more
reinventing the wheel was our issue. We love the idea of simplicity of like bedrooms, bathrooms. That's it. We'll give you a quote in 2 seconds. We loved, and it was a good idea. And then we realized our cleaner is going to clean a 2,500 square foot 3-bed 2-bath, and then a 1,500, and it's the same price. And we were just losing too much money on those variables. So we just tried to come up with all these new ideas, and that sounded great, and they started off great, and clients like the idea of simplicity and they love the simple model, but it just doesn't work in a lot of instances. So we've just slowly found ourselves saying like, well, we don't want to do the deep clean for the first clean. Like nobody wants that. Like the clients don't want that. They get confused. We're going to lose clients. And then now we're doing it. So there's so many things we just were, again, so many things we're like, we don't need to do that. We can do it this way. And we're just every month we're like, okay, let's add that thing in that Jen and Vic said. Or, okay, well, fine, we'll do this too. Like we just like so reluctant to just do what's working.
Just do what's working. It is so funny.
So it sounds silly, but it's like we just think we're like this is going to work better, and it doesn't. And we go back to things that you guys have said,
Yeah, I totally understand, and I laugh because we've done it a million times, and like a million times, and we make the same mistakes over and over and over again. We're better now at riding the emotional waves of the good days or the bad days, or the good moments or the bad moments. We're much better now at that. But I think having full-time jobs in a way helps you guys ride that too, because you have to kind of put the cleaning company into a box in your head while you're still working your day jobs. Right? So if something really bad happens, am I right in saying that? Like,
you are right. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
I don't think we've figured that part out yet, honestly. And I'll let you keep going with your train of thought, but it's hard to do.
It's hard to do in terms of juggling all the things, or the emotional roller coaster.
Both.
Yeah.
The emotional side for sure. Obviously the juggling and doing like that's its own thing that any entrepreneur that's working has to do. But the emotional side is what's really affected me of like, maybe I'll have a bad day at work and then we have a cleaner or a client complain, and now we're dealing with these messages and threats, and that stuff is more emotionally taxing. That side's been, the time juggle thing has been whatever. Like we were kind of hustlers and grinders. Like we come home from the gym after work and we just start working again. Like that's just what we do. So it's more been the emotional side, at least for me. I don't know if you have any.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And I think, we have a member in our community, and she doesn't pipe up very much anymore. I don't know if she's even still active, but a few years back, she was a single mom, and she reached about 100K in revenue for her cleaning company. And that was just enough for her to spend her day with her kids and not have to work a job. And she only worked in the evenings. And I've always thought about this woman, I can't remember her name, but I've always thought about her in terms of like, what I love about this business is that you can decide what's your level. How much do you need to work? How much do you need to hustle? How much do you want to make? And I know, this probably sounds pie in the sky to anybody who's watching this, but if you just, jump in with both feet and follow the plan, then you really do get to decide that, you can make $1 million business or you can make $100,000 business. It's just up to you whether you take on all the clients or not.
Yeah. And I think we really enjoyed I don't know if you want to call it slow growth, because to other people might be like, oh my gosh, you guys have got to 10K, but other people have gotten there way faster and are doing way more than us. But I think the growth that we've had has been honestly perfect. Like if we had done 20K last month, I think it would have been a nightmare. I think it would have been, there's certain things that we're realizing we don't have that are really solid foundation, whether it's how we deal with cleaners and how we deal with cleaners being late or trying to reschedule. Like our clients, they're just like, hey, can you reschedule those 2 clients tomorrow? Like, no, but I don't think
getting cleaners doing that. That's hilarious. Yeah. That will never stop.
I just posted about that in the midweek check-in yesterday, actually. About
we're
trying to figure some of those things out. But in terms of like our growth, I think our growth has been perfect for us to like, okay, it's getting a little ramped up. Okay, we have 7 cleans on the calendar next week. Now we have 10. Like it's allowed us to understand how to manage these things rather than just like going from 5K to 20K or 5K to 15K. That's a big jump for you to organize and, structure. So I think our growth has been like perfect for what we want. Of course, we want to keep growing and do 15K and 20K, but the rate at which we're growing with having full-time jobs that we're both very focused on. Like we're in
Yeah.
sales, we're trying to make a lot of money. That's the point of sales. And there's great opportunities for both of us. So it's like juggling those things, but it's been perfect in terms of like the speed of growth, in my opinion. So that's been really good. So if we do 20K in the next couple months, we'll have to realize we'll start seeing some holes pop up, I'm sure. And those are things that we'll continue to fill as we continue to grow. So
I totally get it. And are there any other mistakes you want to talk about that you guys have made?
I'm sure there's a
lot.
I'm trying to think of anything crazy. Do you think of anything? Any like big mistakes? Because those ones we mentioned earlier were pretty big mistakes.
I think those are really our big mistakes. I think there's like small things that we figured out with just keeping track of things on our end. And I think we really do learn like 3 to 4 new things a month of like, oh, we should have done it this way, or, you know, maybe we'll handle it different next time. So I think it's like situational ones that we've really learned the last few months.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think you will continue to learn. Like, you know, you do reach a point where you know how to talk to clients, you know how to talk to cleaners, and you kind of say the same things over and over again. But I still learn new things every day, you know, where I'm like, should have done that differently, you know, or let's talk a little bit about AI, because I know you've embraced AI. So let's talk about how you're using AI so that you can manage your workflow better. And this will be a little tricky because I know how much we both know about how we use it, but keep in mind our audience might not have any sense of how to use it.
Yeah, I'll take that one. We don't use it anything like crazy to where the average person or somebody who's just starting or maybe doesn't even know about AI that much, we don't use it in some crazy way that maybe somebody like Ash is doing maybe way more in terms of automations and whatnot. We mainly use, so ChatGPT, we use the business advisor, the strategic advisor. Basically, it's a GPT that we created. Basically, it has all of our documents, our branding, our marketing material, our voice. It has all that which it's trained on, which is our company and our vision and all those things. And it just helps us to, one, respond better to clients, whether it's something where a situation we don't know how to handle, a complaint, something's going on with a cleaner where they're complaining and we have to try to figure out how to respond, you know, appropriately and professionally. We're both 27. Our cleaners are a lot older than us, and some of them have been cleaning for 40 years or 30 years or whatever it is. Maybe not 40, but a long time. And so just trying to, you know, have intelligent conversations with them that are professional. That's what we use our strategic advisor for a lot. And then the other thing that I use it for probably the most is data. So we track things like, and every month I'm tracking a new data point, which is like, oh my gosh, why have I not been tracking this? Or
so much data to track.
Oh my gosh, there's a million different things you can analyze, and I've started to kind of become enamored in data and stuff, which has been awesome to help us make the right decisions. But I have a lot of things in like Google Sheets and whatnot that I analyze or that I look at, and I'll have ChatGPT just, you know, do it for me. Like I'll say, hey, here's our numbers for the month. Find all of these data points that I track, whether it's like CAC, ROAS, CAC, LTV, all these things for marketing and whatnot, or just like organic, recurring percentages, all these things. I just plug in a screenshot, or I just give it the link to my Google Sheet, and it'll just analyze all this data. And I'll ask it things like, what am I missing? What should I be looking at in this data? And I'll kind of reverse engineer it. What things should I be tracking? How should I track it? What does CAC even mean? What does ROAS mean? What does that like? What insights can I glean from these numbers? So I just pretty much ask ChatGPT to tell me things I don't know and tell me things I should be tracking or things that I'm missing, or just give me the data from our numbers this month. So that's probably one of the biggest ways I use it. But we also use it for just like strategizing new ideas or new marketing things or new, you know, like hooks or on our website or lead capture, whatever it is. We do a lot of like brainstorming with it that we both do. We both have access to it. And that's been helpful, just to like, hey, maybe we should do this. Here's 7 ideas we could do that are different than what we're doing now. Like, should we implement this or try it? So those are a few ways that we're doing it, but it's just through ChatGPT. We don't have a ton of automations. We're not using, I've done a few things with Zapier to where, because I do some things manually that I think it can be a lot more efficient in terms of like plugging in our, like we have like a master client list of anytime we get a new booking that we plug in kind of manually. And there's ways ConvertLabs can do it, but I don't know if they have all the right tags set up in the back end yet. I think Ash was talking about this when you guys did the hot seat, where he's having a little bit of issues that I'm having the same. But yes, we don't use it anything super crazy. We just do it to help us a lot with operations and data, really.
I think that's the key is using it for operations is key. And a lot of people go immediately to automations. Kevin and I talk about this a lot because he's had to, he talks to thousands of people about how to use the software to build a website, to organize your cleaner schedules, have clients be able to pay online. Like it's doing a lot. But then people always come along and are like, okay, I want to automate the whole thing. And it's because they found it on Reddit or whatever. And they've got in their heads that they can run these businesses without having to be involved. And the reality is, and I know you guys will echo this, the hardest part about this business is the emotional waves that you have to deal with because you're dealing with human beings. And we're using tech to support us. We're using tech to help us to make their lives better. You're making the cleaners' lives better, your lives as a business owner better, the clients' lives better because it's all on autopilot, especially the recurring clients, right? They know every 2 weeks my cleaner's coming. They get the notification. They're on their way. They get charged. Like those automations are amazing.
Yeah.
But the operation side where you're dealing with a client wanting to make a change, a cleaner constantly asking, can we move this client because I have my other clients? That, by the way, is a major pain point for anybody working with independent contractors. It's why a lot of people end up switching to having employees because they want that control over being able to say, no, you're doing this today. And there's, no shade there. Like that model can work for people. But for the ones that embrace this model and embrace dealing with, okay, they're going to do that. It's annoying. And I'm going to say no every time. And eventually they'll stop. You say no every time. I do too.
We're getting better, but it's also because like that client, I could send another cleaner, but that client has been with this cleaner for like then we're gonna throw in a new cleaner and that could shake things up. Like, so it's like a little bit of both, but we've gotten definitely better. We were kind of just getting bulldozed by our main cleaner we've had since the beginning, kind of just because she was used to being able to kind of do what she wanted. And so, and that's our fault. Yeah. But a lot of the problems we face day to day are issues that we're like, that's our fault. Like we didn't set that expectation with the client. We didn't set that expectation with the cleaner. We didn't set that expectations with each other. Like a lot of the problems we're very good at saying like, that's on us. That was totally our mistake. It's not our cleaner's fault that she thinks she can do this because we've never told her she can't. So Amber has helped me a lot with understanding some of those issues that we have done or that's our fault, vice versa. I think we've helped each other understand the situations we're in are often our fault. So.
And I love that. And, and I love that that. Like, to me, that's the sign of great leadership. I don't know if you've ever worked for anyone that doesn't own up to their mistakes, but when you do, it creates a culture of fear. It creates a culture where you're going to get in trouble if you make a mistake. Whereas business owners that say, hey, I screwed up, immediately create a space where it's safe for everybody they work with to say, hey, I screwed up. And that's okay. That they're not going to get yelled at, that, we all make mistakes. We're all human beings. I have a cleaner right now that is being accused of breaking 2 items in this client's home. He sent the weirdest message that was like, I paid market rates and the cleaner broke these. And it was like, wait, are you complaining about the price? You're complaining that I didn't cut you a deal? Like, what is the complaint here? Anyway, that was yesterday's drama. And, I know this cleaner. She's been with us for 4 years. Every time she screws up, she tells us. And so I know she didn't break this thing. But his cleaner was away, his usual cleaner, not with our company. She came back and she's like, hey, they broke this. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So that cleaner's trying to throw us under the bus because she's the best cleaner in the city, right? Remember that ego thing. For her, she has to be the best. And I get it. Like, you should take pride in your job. But anyway, that's the drama I'm dealing with. It's like every day there's
something new.
It's
I'm sure
never.
You guys feel like you guys have seen it all, but I'm sure you guys still even deal with things that you're like, what do we do here?
Well, I can tell you, yesterday we're cleaning a bajillionaire's house, and they are doing a post-con, and we normally don't do post-construction cleans where the trades are still present. It's a hard rule for us. So if the work is still being done, we do not start cleaning. And it's because, for many reasons, but one of them is we're going to get in trouble. It's a lot of stress and pressure on our cleaners because they know they can't get it done because there's a guy drilling something and she's trying to mop or he's trying to mop. And then, anyway, so it's just a gong show, but we're doing this clean, and I'm not kidding. There's 100 people on site.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And we've broken our rule because we've been at the job for a month, and it's full time for 2 cleaners, 8 hours a day for the summer months. It's a great gig. The people are so nice. Like, if they were not nice, there's no way we would be there. And yesterday there was a bear on the property.
A bear?
Oh my gosh.
This is Canada. This is Vancouver Island. There was a bear on the property, and they had to evacuate the property. And the job has to be done within the next hour, by the way. So
You have an SOP for that one?
Everybody just kind of went like, okay. And, anyway, it's just like, I don't know what to do. Like, okay, be careful, be safe. Whoever's in charge of safety, listen to them. And then when the bear is away and they say it's safe, then, and that was it. Like, everybody's just like, okay, and some sort of pipe broke or something. Anyway, like, it's just, these are the things you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I will say the number one thing is your relationship with the people that you work with, right? So if you get along with your cleaners, you're going to have a much better time of this. And if you are empathetic, you don't immediately blame them, right? And I mean, we're human too.
Mhm.
They make some dumb mistakes. Like, there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? But thank God for my ChatGPT custom GPT, because I'll say to it, this is what I want to say. And then it puts it in much nicer language, wraps it with empathy because I've taught it how to do that.
Yeah.
And then it says, a much nicer thing than I would say.
Yeah. I think to the point of, maybe you want to talk a little bit more about this, like,
It was too empathetic sometimes.
well, I'm more talking about like the idea of running into so many different issues and challenges that we've just never experienced. We've never had to, like, the first time we had a customer complain, it's like threatening us and saying all these things. It's like, we're looking at each other like, we've never had to, like, this is a new situation, a new challenge that we've never experienced. I'll let you kind of touch on that if you want. Like,
Kennedy.
well, not just that situation, but like in general, like how we've handled it together. Like, just challenges in general, like every day is a new challenge or a new issue.
Yeah, I think just when we run into the situations where, like you said, like, this hasn't happened before, we haven't dealt with this, we kind of just look at it, I guess, together, really, like, what are our options to do, and come down with like the best option. Or we'll use ChatGPT to kind of give us a scenario basis of, here's the right thing to say, here's how to handle it. In the situations of maybe like a client wasn't happy, I know that a lot of time it's easier to just give the refund than to do the reclean, to just make it done.
Yeah.
There's times where people have denied the reclean and they want the money back. So we have to figure out the situations of maybe something you don't necessarily want to give a refund, but it's in those points, it's just easier to do.
And that's where your data will really help you, and having your spreadsheets. And Jen and I do a color coding system. So, and we've done it we have the same spreadsheet since day one. We've tweaked a few things, but the basic system is, you look at the colors, and green means good, red means bad, right? And so every time we get a complaint that leads to us having to give money back, then that's red. If it's a reclean, it'll be like a softer red, because that's not a big deal. And sometimes we have to do a reclean where we have to pay a totally different cleaner. So one thing that you'll find is that a client will say, no, I don't want that cleaner back in my house. Like, they are personally offended by
we've had that. Yep.
Yeah. And so you say, okay, no problem, I'm going to send you a different cleaner. So you send a different cleaner. Sometimes I'll play a game where it'll be like, I'll send a cleaner that I know isn't as good as this cleaner. Or I'll send a cleaner that I know is better, or whatever, right? You get to know your cleaners really well, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And then I have to pay them. Like, I'm not going to send a cleaner and have that cleaner not get paid unless it's for their own reclean. But we've created this culture where everybody is aware of it, right? So the cleaners are kind of like, hey, I had to do a reclean for you. You missed X, Y, or Z. And they're nice about it, right? Because we've created this nice environment. But anyway, and that's really helped us to avoid having to give money back. But to your point that you talked about before, where you'd be like, oh yeah, just follow what Vic and Jen said. We do the same thing with Rohan, where we'll be like, well, what would Rohan do? He would just give the money back because of the emotional labor. right? And so we had one client, this was about a year ago. It still bugs me, you guys. This client still bugs me. It's been a year and I still drive by this house and I'm like, and I'll tell you the story. It was a prepare for listing. So they were putting this house on the market post-divorce. And, you know, half the house, like it was a weird situation. So mom is living in one half, dad's living in another half. Kid goes from one half of the house to the other half of the house throughout the week. And there was a personal assistant. So the personal assistant feels very entitled to yell at all the workers. And the homeowners are away. I have no interaction with them, just with the PA. And the PA is adamant that she only wants certain parts of the house cleaned. There's construction, of course, going on at the same time. There's tradespeople everywhere. This is like us breaking all of our rules. And I sent her 3 cleaners. She wanted, I talked through what are your options. And I mentioned we've got these Eastern European cleaners. And she was like, yeah, that. I'm like, okay. You know, and I was explaining it in a, like, one of them doesn't speak English very well. You know, she's fresh to Canada in the last 6 months, but she's a great cleaner. But you need to be patient with her because, you know, but I'll send her with these other 2 and they'll all speak Russian together. She's like, okay, no problem. There's a war going on in Ukraine at this time. Mm-hmm. This cleaner has escaped Ukraine.
Wow.
So she's on the phone with her family and it's a day. This is why I get so mad. Like it gives me like, I have a physical reaction to how angry I am at this woman because she immediately goes to blame rather than going, what's going on? And so the cleaner's on the phone with her mom in Ukraine and her town is being bombed.
Wow.
And she is still freaking cleaning. And this woman has the gall to call me and say, I need you here supervising them because she keeps being on her phone. And so then I text her. I'm like, hey, what's up? Because I know her enough to know, like, none of my cleaners would be making fun, like just doing this. Like, none of them are like that. They're all hardworking, salt of the earth people. Anyway, and so I get the lowdown. I'm like, oh my God. And I don't even tell this woman. I should have. But she demanded a full refund. It was a $900 job. And I paid all the cleaners and I ate it. And Jen and I fought about it probably for like 3 hours, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is where it helps to be siblings, maybe instead of partners, because it's different. You know,
we've had some spouts, but they all end up being good at the end. And usually she's right. Yeah, we go with whatever her idea was.
Well, and so Jen and I, you know, and then I lost sleep over it. Like I was so adamant we were not giving her money back. And Jen's just like, get this woman out of our lives. And I'm like, no, I'm going to write her a letter and I'm going to post it and I'm going to tell everybody, you know, this is not what Canada is like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we gave the money back the next day. I gave in because I was like, this is stupid. I don't care. This woman.
That's been our biggest battle is we get, and it sucks because my ego gets in the way and and I'm like, these people are threatening us. That like it's the same. If you look down the message of the last 4 we've got, it's the same. They end the same way. They try to, well, like basically ask for a refund without asking for it. And we don't do anything. We say we can do reclaim. They keep trying to push. And then they say, well, I would hate to write about this all over line and share my experience all over on this website and this one and your Google review. I'd hate to have to do that. And it sucks because I'm like, you're trying to manipulate us to get what you want. And this is our company. Like we built this. Like I want to say so badly, like, sorry, we just don't do it. But it's just like every one of them.
You can do it really soon.
And it's to like, there's at one point we're just going to eventually do it just to do it. Just be like, we're sticking our ground on this one. And if you want to give us a bad review, the world's not going to end. But all 4 of them, we've given them a slight refund and we've avoided bad reviews. So it's like, and they just said, okay, thank you. Perfect. And then they're just gone and then it's done. And we're like, we should have just did that an hour ago, but it's so, like, we just want to stick to our ground sometimes, but it's this constant, do we do this? Do we do this? And that's where we have a lot of our, not arguments, but like just conversations. Like, and Amber usually brings up some good points that I don't think about. And sometimes I'm kind of running hot and she'll kind of like, let me respond. Or there was one where I just told her to take over. I said something wasn't good. And this client was freaking out. I said, you take it. I'm sorry. I messed up. Try to fix this. And she ended up calling the client. Now they're besties. And and it all worked out. But she was like freaking out on me. And then so I basically told her, I said, call her and throw me under the bus. Say, you talk to my husband. I think he maybe missaid some stuff. And then now they're all of a sudden best friends. They talk for half an hour. So
amazing. Well played.
She calms me down a lot and handles situations where I should probably step away, just because sometimes I'm like, oh, I hate you. Like, I don't say that, but I'm like, I don't want to talk to you ever again, you know? So
you put that into ChatGPT and then it says,
yeah. But we've learned so much about each other and our own relationship. It's honest. There's sometimes where it's like, I'm pretty confident this is what we should do. And she's like, I think we should do this, but we work things out and we're dealing with things we've never had to deal with. And it's, I would say, helped our relationship. And it's been good to go through new challenges every day of that, you know, running a business. And we're going to do 100K this year, you know, probably pretty easily. So it's like, we're building a great business and we're learning these things together, which has been my favorite part, at least.
It is the best part. That's awesome. I love that. Jen and I feel the same way. And I think for us as siblings anyway, like we just keep launching another business. And we are so grateful to the community and to Kevin and Rohan and to, you know, this is kind of like, to me, the best part of the internet. Like the internet can be a hot mess, but there are some really great parts to it. And for me, this is like the thing that I'm so grateful for, that I write about in my journal every day, is like having this community of people that just share how it is, so that you're not alone. Because your business in Arizona, like I can give you everything. Be like, here, this is what we do in Canada, you know, and you can do it or not. But then you can also do the same thing for us. And chances are it's going to help. Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten any, you know, valid, like qualified advice from the community that I've gone, no, they're absolutely wrong. Mm-hmm. The only time I would do that is if they've spent money on something that I'm like, for example, SEO. Spending money on SEO. I'm like, guys, just follow the videos because it's long game. As you know, we've talked about that because I know you guys have, you know, your SEO strategy on point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's
Can I share? I know we were probably going to a different topic, but I just remembered one of our biggest mistakes, which was when we sent the wrong cleaner who we didn't even hire. I think I remember I mentioned that one to you, and I think it'd be hilarious.
Story, it's great.
I'll give you like the quick version. So we basically had two people that we were interviewing. One of them we decided not to go with for various reasons that were red flags. She seemed like a great cleaner, but there was just red flags. Another one seemed great, and she did a test clean. It was great. We just called her. We said, hey, we don't know if we have enough work right now. Let me get back to you in July. And she's like, perfect. I have other work. Like, call me back in July. This was a month ago. So basically had her on standby. We had a random move-in clean happen, and we had nobody available. And they needed it on this day. It was a good job. And so we were like, let's just call the, you know, girl who just said, call me back in a month. And we already, like, it'll be a good, like, first clean for her. Her name's Samantha. The other girl's name was Sarah. I called Sarah, who we already rejected. We said, hey, we're not moving forward. Thanks, whatever. So we basically said, like, goodbye. We called that girl just randomly one night, and we said, hey, Sarah, you know, like, we have this clean coming up. I know I said I'd call you in a month, but do you want to take it? She's like, sure. Like, yeah, I can take it. She'd be kind of weird. And I was like, okay, like, whatever. So we kind of like get her a little bit onboarded in Convert Labs, and we're like, hey, we'll get you set up with everything else after this. We'll make sure all these, you know, T's but we just need this clean done tomorrow. Yeah. So she goes to this clean, and we don't find out until she gets there because I don't remember what the reason was, but she said something. I looked at Amber. I said, wasn't the girl we wanted to hire named Samantha? And she goes, yeah, that's who's at the clean. I said, no, Sarah's at the clean. The girl that we rejected for these reasons specifically that were red flags. And we were like, we sent the wrong cleaner. The one we rejected, we sent her to a clean. And so we were like, oh my gosh. And then we were just like, well, she's already there. Let's hope it goes well. And she showed up early. She was good at communicating. And I was like, okay, like, this might work. And we were talking about it on Convert Labs, and she did the clean. She sent us pictures afterwards, and it ended up like looking great. And like, it was and so we were like, oh my gosh, that was great. And she was great afterwards. And I was like, thank you. You know, we'll you know, let you know in like a week or so, like, blah, blah, blah. We were just, because we realized at that point it was the wrong cleaner. And sure enough, the clients sent us like 8 photos, and they wanted to re-clean. They were very nice about it, but they were just like, hey, these spots were missed. And so we're like, okay, maybe she's not good. Maybe it was just this client. The clean looked good to us based on the pictures we saw. We were kind of like, is this girl good? Is she not? She was pissing a fit about having to go re-clean after already saying she would go re-clean if needed. So she was freaking out, and she was like, just wanted to let you guys know, I usually don't do that much work for that little pay. And we calculated how much pay it was by the hour, and it was $49 an hour is what she got for that job. And she was like, usually I don't do that much work for that little pay. And we were like,
what's the going rate in Arizona?
I think it's like 20 22 to 25-ish
Yeah.
is an hourly. And that's like some of the good companies. A lot of them start off at 18 an hour here. Some of the bigger companies do 18 an hour. Whatever. So she's complaining about this, complaining about the reclean, saying like, I don't know if I want to do jobs if I'm going to get paid this little. And we were just like, what?
Wow.
We basically started laughing because we were like, we sent the wrong cleaner. That was dumb. And then we thought she was going to be good, and now she wasn't. And now she's complaining about pay. It was just a silly mistake, and we haven't worked with her since. And the client was happy afterwards. They still gave us a 5-star review.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah,
that was great. That client was luckily nice, but it was so silly that we didn't realize we sent the wrong cleaner who we already rejected. We sent her. It was a stupid mistake, and I remember we were just laughing about it. We were like, and it was my fault. It was 100% my fault. So
it's an easy mistake to make. You know, we call it the book and scramble. Sandra, yeah, that's the book and scramble. And you know,
we booked and scrambled, but it wasn't the right kind of scrambling. It was the wrong scramble. That was probably the funniest mistake we made. That was just ridiculous.
And that is, you know, the sign of people that are working too much and you know, just being like,
I got their names mixed up. Yeah, I got their names mixed up, and it was bad.
I do want to talk about reviews because you've mentioned a couple times about reviews. So how many reviews do you have right now on your Google profile?
I think we have 82 right now. 84 currently.
84 in 7 months. And are you using Nice Job, or is this you calling?
This is where our sales kind of comes into play. We don't use Nice Job. We are ferocious with reviews. I mainly handle the review side. Immediately, we don't even call afterwards. I know a lot of people call. I follow a ton of cleaning company people, and they all call, and I just send a simple message: "Hey, how'd the clean go?" Or like, "Hey, just want to make sure everything went well." From there, I say, "Hey, you know, help support local business, blah blah blah." Just a little blurb that's just kind of copy and pasted. But we follow up like jackals. Like we are we have like a sequence that I've kind of built in my head of like this. Like 24 hours later, I'll just text them and back if they haven't left it. And I'll say, "Oh my gosh, Susie, I'm so sorry. I think I sent you the wrong link. This one will work." Basically, just like I know I sent the right one, but it's just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And then they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, totally forgot. Thanks. I'll do it right now." And
that's smart.
It is. And it's worked very well, actually. So I do that, and it's just an easy thing. It's like, "Oh my gosh, so sorry. Here's the right link." And then the third one, I'll just say, "Hey, just wanted to make sure," like a couple of days later, but we'll do 4 follow-ups in like 7 days. Anything after that, the close rate's going to go lower and lower the longer it goes. If you do a 2-3 week thing, in my opinion, you can still get reviews, of course, but I think the drop-off rate increases by every day that you don't get that review from when you did the clean. So we'll follow up 3-4 times in 7 days. The fourth one, maybe even 5 times. The fourth one will be an email. I've got some people do it because I sent an email. I just kind of switch up which way I'm doing it. But we have been ferocious on reviews. Not all of them are from clients. We've maximized the people we know in the area as well. And I don't see any reason not to. As long as we're doing it in our service areas, we don't get reviews from people outside the state. We're pretty weary to do it outside of our even service areas, but I'll meet somebody at the gym and I'll talk to them a couple times. I'm like, "Hey man, like I have this company, just leave me a review." And I type it for them on ChatGPT. It's SEO optimized. It's the perfect review. So we do that as well. And you guys could have mixed opinions about that, but I'm trying to build this business. We are, so we're going to do what we can, but we've been ferocious on reviews, and we'll hit 100 in the next couple months, which is
you will.
We're super excited about. We're passing so many of our competition that have been here for 10 years. And that's been the coolest thing to see, like all these companies we're just passing. And now so many people are like, "Oh my gosh, I saw your reviews. Like your reviews were great." That's what we're getting so much more just recently, just getting a ton of those like, "Well, I saw your reviews. It's a lot better. You had more reviews, blah, blah, blah." And it's so cool to see how powerful reviews are for not only SEO and for Google to see and all those things, but for just brand visibility and reputation. It's everything, truly. And so that's why we've been very consistent and very like all focus on reviews. Let's get those reviews to 100. It'll just keep paying dividends for us. So that's been one of our coolest stats is our reviews getting to 100 pretty soon in the next month or two, I think.
I think that's the fastest out of anybody in the community. I'm pretty sure we've never actually analyzed that as a community, but I'm pretty sure if you put up, you know, we reached 100 reviews in 10 months or something, other people will share how quickly they reach that number.
I think we're doing like 8 or 9. I think that's my guess.
Amazing.
We're just super happy about that. We've been super focused on it, which is cool.
It's so great. It's such a great relationship builder. It is definitely a best practice thing to do the way that you were doing it. We use Nice Job because I'm now lazy. because I love it doing everything.
We don't have the scale as you guys. If we do, we'd probably end up doing something like that. It's easy.
I
for us to
recommend it.
Yeah,
I do. And it's very similar. It's 7 text and or emails that are, optimized to work. But I will say, like, if you run your numbers out of how many, clients you've asked for reviews, how many convert, do you know that number?
I don't. That's a really interesting stat.
Data
point that I'm going to add to the sheet of data that I track. That would be an interesting one to see.
It is. And so ours is only about 10%. And I will say, like, that's low. Our conversion rate is very high. It's more like 30% if I answer the phone. Right now, I've stopped answering the phone, which is not best practice, y'all. But, we're now at, according to our dashboard, we're at 91K this month. It's July 5th. Like,
crazy.
It is so crazy. And so my
job at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not calling everybody. There's no way. There's no way. But also the majority of that, we're well over 80% recurring clients, right? So it's just different. In the beginning, you're 80% one-time clients.
Yep.
Your goal is 20% and then to gradually increase that. But once you are in this for a few years and you're focused on quality customer service, quality cleaning, but honestly, half of this job is customer service. Like half of the reviews, if you read our reviews, you'll see it's about the fact that we're mirroring. I always talk about mirroring. You repeat back what the client says word for word. You want your house cleaned. You have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay, got it. And you just constantly repeat it back. And that psychology-wise works to get your clients to have a positive experience with you. So even if they complain, you convert them into a 5-star review because you hear them. It doesn't have to be on the phone. It can be, most of my communication now is email and or text. But anyway, so kudos to you guys for those numbers because that's insane. You're going to be able to, similar to us, like spend no money on advertising.
That's the goal.
Yeah. What are you spending now?
In terms of like just marketing ads?
Yeah.
Last month we were at about 2,500. We're playing around with some stuff. Most of that is to LSA. Organic revenue is probably about 20 to 25% of our revenue right now, and it's slowly increasing every month. Which is our goal, obviously, is to continue to get that higher. But LSA is where we're getting the most. Yelp has continued to be good. We just don't want to. Yelp is we've had great success with it. It's just if we can get a 2 ROAS on Yelp every month, we're happy with that. But we only spend like $300-400 on Yelp. But usually we make that back every month and more. So.
And ROAS for anybody listening is return on ad spend. So if they spend 200 or 300, if they get 900 back, then they're happy. It's also about your profit margin as well, right? So it's about 30% that you would be bringing home after the costs.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I understand now when you said before that you're still in the red, but you're spending, money on advertising. What else are you spending money on actually?
The other is $2,000 a month to our business partner / he does the SEO, branding, marketing, website, brand review management, reputation management. He does a plethora of different things.
Right.
So that's a fixed cost. So it won't hurt as much as we grow. And we're very much under the impression of like, if we can break even in the first year, we'll be happy with that. We're trying to build this to a big company, which somebody else could be doing $5K a month and maybe they're profiting. So it's all kind of relative of,
totally
what you want to do and what your goals are. We're trying to build a very solid foundation to where when we're doing 20, 30, 40K, that 2K we're spending right now doesn't matter. So we're taking a short-term hit, but we're also just like, let's grow, let's get revenue in the door. We'll worry about profit margins when it matters. And maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but that's our opinion. Is like, you can tweak and do all these things to get 1% more profit margin, but if you don't have the revenue, it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're after, of course, but in my opinion, we're just like, let's get revenue in the door. We'll figure out how to crunch some numbers and get our margins to be where we want them to be. After the first year we're just tweaking, testing, seeing what works, getting revenue in the door, getting recurring. So that's kind of how we're approaching it. Other people might have different thoughts, but
yeah.
Oh, did we cut out a bit? Can you still hear us?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. Can you? Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally. And I think that's a really good point. Like you don't have to be profitable your first year, especially when you have 2 decent day jobs, right? Like there are people like my sister and I, like we had to be profitable fast.
Yeah.
There are lots of us out there where it's like, you've got job loss, or you've got life crisis, or divorce, or whatever life. And it's like, I got to make money fast. And so for those people out there, we hear you, we're here for you. Watch the videos. You have time. It's the greatest thing that you have, which is time. So you can do a ton of research and then just follow what works rather than reinventing the wheel. But for, you guys having full-time jobs, like, keep going.
Yeah. And I think the perspective piece is huge. Because like I said, somebody could be doing 5K a month and making more a month than we are and could be profiting. And it just depends on what you're after and what you want to focus on. Or we have, like you said, we have the time, we have fortunately the money to be able to pay for these things like SEO and all of these services. So that's kind of our vision and the position we're in, which is going to be so much different than somebody else who has kids or a family. We don't have kids. We don't have those things that, like I said, could be profiting. They're just maybe doing less revenue, because revenue is top line, but a lot of times the bottom line can show a different story. So it's all about perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's go to Nikita's comment here. So she said, how do you ensure the cleaners do a 5-star job? The feedback I've received has been prices are higher and quality of cleaning was average.
Yeah, I think just it goes into tail of like all the systems and policies with your cleaners. I think there's definitely been times where we've had bad feedback, but I think growing into it, we make sure cleaners not only send us pictures before and after, and if we're able to, I know it's a little bit difficult if the client's not home, we always want the cleaner to do a walkthrough with the client to make sure that when they're doing the walkthrough, if there's something missed, that I know that clients don't always speak up, but it's just making sure that, hey, our cleaner did the walkthrough, you said you were happy, and that can lead to just a better, I guess, quality in the clean. Mm-hmm. But there's just various points that we make sure to do in every single clean that, at least feedback wise, that's a 5-star review from a client. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, I think the other piece is just kind of starts at the stage 1 hiring, like making sure you're hiring the right cleaners that have the right experience, that you've vetted. We need to do better as referrals. I like your idea on that, Vic, that we haven't implemented super well, but just making sure you're doing the due diligence on the cleaners and the test clean and being very picky, because this is your company. You're putting them into clients that are paying. So I think taking it a step back, it starts in the hiring process, making sure you're hiring people we don't hire people that don't have experience in residential cleaning. I don't care if we don't even hire Airbnb cleaners. We don't hire hotel cleaners, maids. Maybe we can get to that point where I don't know. But right now if you don't have residential cleaning experience, we're not hiring you, or we're not even getting on a call. That's just where we're at personally. We can't afford to train somebody right now or do all those things. So that's been really helpful. We throw people in that have had 5-10 years experience. It's a lot easier to get to that high quality. So that's just taking a step back. But everything Amber said is exactly right.
And to add on to that, Amber, you mentioned this before. You had mentioned the 60%. So they're paying the cleaners 60% of the total cost of the clean. And that is fundamental to this blueprint, because you get better quality cleaners when you're paying them more. It's very easy to get loads of cleaners that want to work with you, but you do have to filter them out. Like, you have to find the ones that have a lot of experience, that know, they can walk into a home and be like, yep, got it. And they know exactly how to clean it. Well, that takes time, right? And it is often 5 to 10 years. And then you pay them 60% of the total, which works out to be $45, $49 an hour. Mm-hmm. So now you have people that are lifers. This is their career. This is what they want to do. They take it seriously. This is not just like a summer gig for them, And so you get a different caliber of cleaner. But you absolutely have to, it's all about hiring.
Yeah. And I will say, to that point of like the 60% as well, like a couple of our cleaners have they'll cancel their other jobs, or they'll move things around to take ours. And they want to bust their butts to make sure those jobs are good, because they want more jobs from us. They know they're not making as much from other cleaners. And that's something we're keeping in mind, of like, people want to come work for us and they want to take our jobs and they want to do a good job.
And they will move their clients around yours. And in the beginning, they will try to get you to move yours around theirs. And then they learn, because you're like, actually, we don't do that. We put the client's needs first. So if you need to make a change, no problem. I'll see if I can get cover. But just so you know, as a general rule, we really don't do that. So when a client books Tuesday at 9 and it's biweekly and you've said yes to that, then that is a yes. Yep. Like, that is your new, but yeah, it's absolutely part of the job. And you're going to have cleaners that, the other advice I have for you, Nikita, is to remember that one client out there might think your worst cleaner is your best cleaner.
Yeah.
And so much of this is about personality. And if you're working, and I don't know, Nikita, if you're a cleaner yourself, but if you're working as a cleaner yourself, the hardest thing for you is to get out of knowing how to clean and remembering that half of this is their personality. You know, so I had a cleaner yesterday. She lost the job at this bajillionaire's house because she didn't have enough personality. And she just was like, okay, you know, and the client's like, how are you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, and then there, you know, the feedback that we got was, look, she can clean, but we don't really want to have her in the house. And I'm like, yeah, that's a problem, you know. And cleaners that are out there working on their own, they never get that feedback because clients will never tell a cleaner that directly, but they will tell you. Okay, Nikita says, great advice. I agree. I guess my question here, I'll put it up. I guess my question is quality assurance. My cleaners are experienced 10 plus years and do a superb job, but then the quality fades, especially with the recurring cleans. Yeah. So can I take that one?
Yeah, we've had this issue recently as well. So yes, please.
And it's a normal issue. So here's the greatest thing about you being the owner of the cleaning company. So eventually you're going to have enough data. You're going to be able to go, okay, it's around the 14th clean that my clients will either complain that the quality is not there or they'll cancel. And you're paying attention to your data, right? So for us, it's around the 14th clean. So whether it's a weekly, you know, 3.5 months in, whether it's a bi-weekly, you know, it's about a year. Like, so there's a few cleaners where that happens all the time. And I'm like, man, by 14. So I got to call them by clean number 12. Because it doesn't just, you know, it's a slow, right? So by around clean number 12, I've got to call that client. Be like, hey, how's it going? Just want to check in. I know she's been there a while. Sometimes cleaners can kind of, you know, get a little lazy over time. You just want to get ahead of it if that's happening. Not saying it is. But if it is, you know, please let me know. And then they'll tell you. And again, they'll never tell the cleaner, but they will tell you. So the cleaner will always say, I'm doing a great job there. She loves me. Right. But you get the real deal because they'll tell you. And then you say, tell you what, let's swap out the cleaner now. I've got this other cleaner that I think you're going to love. And chances are the client's going to be like, oh, yeah, that would be great. And then they stay with you another 14 cleans. You know,
that's really smart, yeah. That's I never thought to look at that data. But I think the key thing, and maybe for Nikita as well, like just you asking Vic is the hugest part. Like we did that a while ago where we check in with all of our customers. Hey, want to see how things are going. And one, not everyone's going to tell you still, which we found out that some people will still not tell you, but you can get ahead of issues before they happen. Like, honestly, I'm not super happy. I don't think the floor has been done great. And then, like you said, we'll send another cleaner who we don't think is better, and they will love them. And like with Princess and Tammy, she has, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is such a refresher. Like, this is what what we thought we were going to get. And the other cleaner was our best cleaner. And it's just, but yeah, I think some of that burnout, I think we need to do a better job of getting ahead of that. Cause we've seen a couple of our recurrings that have with our best cleaner kind of drop off, and we're like, is she getting a little lazy? Like, is she, you know, and so that's something that we need, but your data piece is really interesting because you knew that data, you're able to do something. I don't think we've tracked that yet. I don't know if we have enough data. Yeah, you need a few years for that data to actually mean something. We have it now. And in all honesty, I'm giving you best advice here. Am I actually calling all of these clients? Absolutely not. It's a great idea. Yeah.
But also because it's, you know, when you reach this number, like we could do so much. We could double this company in like 6 months if we wanted to. I don't want to. That's the secret. You know, and there's other people out there that are like, I want to have a franchise company where I have 30 of these locations. I'm going to be a bajillionaire. Have at it. You know, that's just not Jen and me. We have other things that we're interested in. I am not that passionate about the cleaning industry. What I am passionate about is being the change we want to be in the world. So that's treating people kindly, making sure that people make more money working with us than they would if they worked for anyone else. And that's because I know these are people that need to pay their bills and they're good, hardworking people. You know, so like creating opportunities for ourselves and others. That's our mantra, Jen and I. That's what everything that we do is about, creating opportunities for ourselves and others. That's what I'm passionate about. Making $1 bajillion. Nah, that's too much work. Not with this industry anyway. And I'm sure you guys are the same. Like, you're really good at sales. What's next, right? So like we'll wrap this up now because we're well over time. But I know this happens because we like talking.
I can keep going.
Yeah, I know. This is fun for me. Like, this is what I love doing. But what's next? Like, do you have like a marker where it's like, okay, we can quit our jobs, or do you even want to quit your jobs?
I want to quit very badly. If hopefully my boss isn't watching this on a random cleaning channel on YouTube. But all I've been thinking about is, what do we need to make to cover my expenses? Like my personal side of our expenses, like how much I contribute. That's all. I'm not thinking about making a 50K a month and 100K a month. I am literally dead focused on making enough revenue each month, which is around, I don't know if it's going to be around like 25 to 30K a month is when I could probably quit my job. That's just like cover my expenses. I have like a 2-page sheet I built, which ChatGPT helped me of things I need in place in order to quit my job, to do it responsibly. Like, we need to have enough data, like 2-3 months of, because we don't want to just go from 10K to 25K and then I quit my job and then we're back to 10K, so I have this whole basically sheet of everything I need personally in the business in order to make that decision. But for me, I want to do this full time. I'm so tired of having a boss and all these things. And I don't know where it goes from there. Of course, there's going to be new goals, but I want to set my goal on that first. And we still have to talk about some things on what that'll look like. Because I'll have obviously more time to work on the business. Amber is starting some other things that she's doing as well that she's really passionate about. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other things to say on that.
No.
Yeah. So I want to quit my job. That's the
we both do eventually.
Yeah. Well, obviously we have to be fiscally responsible and
Sure. I mean, but if everything fell apart tomorrow, you would be able to double, triple your revenue next month if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So this is now your safety net, right? I think a lot of people out there think their job is secure. Getting a normal job is like how you have security. But that's, it's 2025. Like, what is the unemployment rate right now in the US? Like, it's high. And AI is changing everything. And just to finish on one little thing here, these businesses are AI proof, Amazon proof, and China proof. And what I mean by that is AI can't replace the human beings. It can help us a lot, but it can't replace the cleaners. And I would argue that's not coming anytime soon. They've been trying to build robots to clean carpets forever, and we still have normal Dyson vacuums on top of the Roomba, right? So we're fine, guys. We're gonna be okay. So you've got AI proof, you've got Amazon proof. Amazon has tried to get into this space and they can't crack it because local business needs to be local.
What do you think about the recession proof piece? What do you think about that?
Exactly. So here's a great stat for you. When the pandemic hit, the residential cleaning industry only dropped by 2%.
Wow. And that's during a virus where you can't be near people.
Right. I heard that stat and I was like, man, that is unbelievable. We started our business in 2021. So it was still pandemic times. Canada was, quite conservative with the rules. We had to ask our cleaners if they were vaccinated. It was a whole thing. But that's when we started our business and we reached, 50K within, I forget the number, within like 14 months or something.
Incredible.
So recession proof. And then the third one, China proof, because China can't make it cheaper, better, faster. Right? They can do that with every other industry, but they can't touch this one. And so there is so much more security, I would argue, in a good local service business where you're kind. And kindness wins here. And there are days where you don't want to be kind. I was very unkind to a client recently where I said no to his conditions. And he thought he was the victim. I was like, no, we won't work that way.
I like what you said about the safety net because it's so true. And I didn't really think about that. Like if we got fired, we still have this asset that we're building that, like you said, if I quit my job today or I got fired, knock on wood, we could get this business up to 25, 20K, 30 easily in a couple of months. We're doing this a couple hours a day, just when we can. And we're putting in a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. You can't do this with minimal work, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Building something that is for us, that's ours, that is like a safety net. And that's what was really important when we first started this, is building something that's ours, that we control, and we have, we decide what happens, with our future, so to speak. So that's been a huge thing. And I agree. I didn't really think about it as like the safety net term, but you're right.
Not telling you to quit your job tomorrow, but if you did want to wake up tomorrow and quit your job, it would not be the end of the world.
I've got a few deals in the pipeline at my work that I'm like, I don't know if I can leave yet. I got to see. I'm wondering also, like, at what point do I have to quit my job? At what point can we not handle this, with doing our full, because there's sometimes where we're in meetings. I just went to Boston for a trip for a week, and Amber's doing everything on her own. Like, thank God we have each other. But at what point do I need to quit my job? Like, is it $20K? I'm like, I don't have any more time in my work. I don't know. We'll see. So it might have to be that first. I don't know.
Okay. Can I tell you what I would do if I were in your shoes?
Please.
So if Monday, July 7th, you woke up and you suddenly didn't have a job, I would take 1 month to learn how to replace yourself at the cleaning company. So Open Phone, which is the phone line that we recommend, and I think you guys use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody uses. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Open Phone now has an AI voice agent, but it takes time. So nobody in our community, everybody's talking about it in the community, like, hey, is anybody using this? But none of us have implemented it, because you have to train it on what are your policies? What are the answers to these questions? But you now know enough, 7 months in, your commonly asked questions. The ones that are like a little left field. This is how you would answer this, but you have to train that voice agent. So I would get to work on training the voice agent, training your custom GPT to have all of the emails. Again, your frequently asked questions, right? They're all the same. Everybody wants to feel special. Everybody wants to feel like their house is unique. So they're all going to give you this, like, yeah, but I have this or I have that. Nobody's special. None of us have that unique. I mean, it's really, they're not that unique.
Yeah.
Right. But you can answer it by using the mirroring technique, having all your policies, having your health and safety procedures, and focus for 1 month. My God, what you can get done in 1 month of time with AI right now. And then you're still only working 2 hours a day like I am.
Yeah.
You're just doing it throughout the day. Right. And so then you're at, 50 to 100K. You can double to 200K if you want. Start a lawn care business like we have. We're starting a franchise business. I'll talk about that another day, where we literally are creating a company to franchise, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, I'm so stoked. And it's only going to cost like $5K to buy the franchise fees. That's what I'm most excited about. So we're going to be able to provide these opportunities. So that might be your next business.
Send us over that info.
But that's what I mean. Like, so you'll be able to focus your energy in different ways. But I am still genuinely only working about 2 or 3 hours a day.
That's amazing.
It's just throughout the day. Right. So I wouldn't want to have a job where I was in meetings, because, I'm answering a text. But if I could train my AI bot right, and as long as it sounds good, as long as it sounds like me, like it needs to sound like our business, then we're replaceable right now.
Yeah. My favorite thing is knowing that just like we have enough data to see after 7 months, and based on our trajectory, our growth rate, how our SEO is just picking up like a snowball right now. Like, we're going to get to a point where I can quit my job, or maybe at some point Amber can quit hers, or whatever she wants to do as well. But like, it's really just a matter of when, or what is it? If not when. Yeah, when.
That's it.
We're looking at the numbers, and I mean, sure, anything can happen. Things can happen. I know I don't want to be too on my high horse. We're only doing 10K a month. There's people doing way more, but I just want to get to a point where I can quit my job. That's all I care about right now. I don't care about making millions and selling this business, doing us. I just want to make enough to quit my job and do this full time. And it's truly going to happen very soon. And that's the best part, is we have the numbers, we have the data to show that it's going to happen, which is really exciting. It's like,
I'm so stoked for you guys. I'm so stoked to see it in the community the day that you post, I quit my job.
You got it every day.
Right.
We'll see what actually happens, what actually needs to happen, what's in place. Like, we have to look at our finances with, our personal life as well. And maybe a little nest egg, or, backup plan for whatever reasons. There's things we need to figure out, but it's going to happen at some point. And that's the most exciting thing, is we can see the data. It's going to happen.
Absolutely. And you're going to get bored and it's going to be hilarious. Like you're going to last a week and you're going to be just like me because you've got that entrepreneurial brain where you're going to be like, okay, we need a system for this and we need to fix this and we need to fix this.
I'm getting 5 whiteboards. This whole room is going to be a whiteboard. It's going to be like, I'm going to look like a mad scientist doing stuff that I shouldn't even be doing. I shouldn't even try to optimize this, but I'm just trying to do it just to do it, you know?
Well, that's me. And Jen's, you know, we live together. And so she can hear me typing away and she'll like come down. She'll be like, are you making work for yourself? Yeah. And I'm like, well, I found this interesting way of seeing this. And then she's like,
playing with graphs and pie charts and all that stuff. Yeah.
Unbelievable on my data analysis. And then like watching YouTube videos on how somebody else is doing something and we need to do it differently. And I said to you guys before the call, the only difference now is I just go, oh, it just doesn't matter. You know, all that stuff, all that fine tuning. And to be fair, we did a lot of it our first year and our second year, and we followed the blueprint and we, you know, then fixed it when we veered off course. But now it's just like, we keep getting bookings because when you have over 200 reviews, something happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you won't, you know, and
but what you're saying is important also because you keep getting bookings, but that's the part that's driving your business is not all this, the automations and all this stuff is great. And I think my one advice to everybody, and take this with a grain of salt, I'm not some millionaire, we don't have $1 million business, whatever. But I think sometimes people get so lost in the beginning of the automations, this stuff, the sexy stuff, the website design, all this stuff. And we did the same thing. It happened to us as well. And then at the end of the day, it's like, we're in month 3. We only have $2,000 in bookings. What are we doing? Like, that's what happened to us. And so we're like, let's get the revenue in the door and we'll figure out all these things later. We'll figure out how to automate. We'll do all these things. We'll get all these AI agents in place. Those things are important. But what does it matter if you're doing a couple thousand in revenue? Like the revenue has to be, in my opinion, please take this for a grain of salt, everyone. That has to be one of the biggest things you're looking at is how do we get more revenue in the door? Figure out all these things. Go.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
And it's every day. And then eventually it becomes a snowball where you're like, okay, we got to rein this in. I did want to mention, and then we've got to shut this down. Do you even have any 1-star reviews right now?
No. I just knocked on wood. You might have heard that. We have 2 4-star reviews. The 1 4-star review we have was a free clean we did for somebody.
Okay.
Come on.
I know. People.
It's free.
I'm going to encourage you to get a 1-star review. And here's why. Number one, you said it yourselves. You guys are being too nice and you're refunding people too quickly. But number 2, as human beings, we look at that and we go, that can't be real. So you've got 84 now. You're close to reaching 100. We need a 1-star review in there. And you need it to be from a Psycho Sandra. And I'm sorry to all the Sandras out there that this is your name, but you know, we call it a Psycho Sandra in the community. So a Psycho Sandra is somebody that like is completely unreasonable. They are unhinged. They are like, you can, you know, and you see it when you Google something and you look, and some of your best clients, they don't read the 5-star reviews. They read the 1-star reviews. And what they're actually doing is looking at how did you respond to it? Mm-hmm. And then they go, oh, that's me. Okay. I like these people based on your response. So it's a change in how you see it. I know it's hard as a salesperson because you like.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
But it's so important to get bad reviews. And so Jen and I, we used to argue about this a lot because she's so nervous about it. Like she'll be like, turn them off on Nice Job because you can do that where you're like, don't ask them for a review. And I'm like, hell no, I want that 1-star review because I can't wait to clap back. You know, the place was unsafe. You know, sorry, we don't clean feces, you know, or vomit from your party last night or whatever. And again, ChatGPT will write this for me, you guys. I humanize it. I've taught it how to talk like me. But if I were to use my words sometimes, it would be not nice. And so I'll just say that. And so I do have it help me write it better. But those are really important to get.
I agree. Yeah. I think I told Joyce the other day, she got a 1-star review from a crazy lady. And I was just, and I agree with what you're saying. We just haven't got one. But I told Amber the other day, of course, I don't necessarily like want 1-star reviews, but
no.
I told Joyce as well, it's kind of like a badge of honor of like any successful company you look at, service-based, anything, every single one of them has a 1-star review. Yeah. And so it's literally, or a rite of passage is maybe a better way.
It is.
I think I either said that to Joyce or badge of honor, whatever, but it's really important to like know that every single company has all the big ones. They all have it. If you want to get there, it's the cost of doing business. And so I agree with you. I agree with you.
And it's helpful. And it's SEO.
Yeah. Yep.
You
It
know,
is.
'cause
It is.
It's true.
and it is, and it helps. And the way you answer is so important. And it's an opportunity for you to stand up for your cleaners, for your standards, for how you operate. We have one where the woman accused us of stealing her salad dressing after cleaning her fridge. And it's like, the day I got it, I was like, yes, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, my unhinged psycho person, because everybody else reads it and it's like, it's a run-on sentence. It doesn't make sense.
Sometimes when I deal with a crazy client, I'll go and look at like the biggest company in our area and I'll go look at all their 1-star reviews. And it makes me feel better to know that like they're dealing with really crazy, because we'll read them and be like, we know now that like that person is crazy. I know that company didn't do that. Like, but it kind of makes us feel better to know that like this company has 1,000 reviews, has all these 1-stars, and they're just crazy people that are unreasonable. You cannot have, there's no way you could have made that situation better. So it just kind of makes us feel better to know that like, look at these big companies. They all have these, they're doing great. They're probably making millions. They have a bunch, and it's just what it is. So, yeah.
And the funny thing is, when we started our lawn care business, we looked at all the reviews of all the other companies, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
People are brutal about lawn care. Like, it's like 3 stars is the average,
Really?
for all the companies. Oh yeah, they're brutal, but they're not great at customer service. Like, terrible, And so, I just laugh because I'm like, okay, we got this. Because I'm like,
you guys will be just fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We've gone well over time. I appreciate you. I'm super stoked for you both to quit your jobs, but for the day that, you can say, okay, today's the day. And it's going to happen probably much sooner than you think.
You'll see it in the community the day it happens. I'll be broadcasting it to the world, and I'm going to delete. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete LinkedIn forever. I'm going to delete my account.
You don't need it. Interesting.
I saw a quote the other day on Twitter that said like, "Get so rich you never have to go on LinkedIn ever again." And that's just like a funny thing in like the sales world, like LinkedIn being kind of this like cringy kind of corporate
job
place.
searching. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has its benefits. I've used it for years and it's done great things. But I just want to delete LinkedIn and never go on it again.
I love that.
So
I mean, we've deleted
in my mind.
Yeah, and we've deleted so much of our social media. We never post anymore. Like, we just don't need to. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having us on. We've been looking forward to doing this with you and watching everybody else's for the last 7 months. So I'm excited for the next 6 months. And thank you for all the help that you guys have given us, and the accountability group. Would not be here right now without the help from you and the rest of the people in the community. So if anyone's watching that's not in the Convert Labs community, get involved. There's hundreds of people in there. Everyone has different thoughts, ideas, and everyone's willing to help. So and I'm not sponsored by Convert Labs. I'm not sponsored, but thank you for everything you guys have done and helped us.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. All right. Enjoy your Saturday, everybody.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye.